I'm Mira, 32 years old, and last week my mother stood up at my sister's rehearsal dinner and told 80 guests I wasn't her real daughter. She said it with a bright, practiced smile, like it was a harmless little joke. And then she announced loud enough for the entire room to hear that she and my father were paying for the wedding with their savings. The same savings I'd been quietly feeding for 10 years. The whole room turned toward me at once. I felt the pity land first, then the whispers, then that heavy public embarrassment that makes your chest tighten like someone is pressing a palm against your ribs. And then I smiled back, because I knew something they didn't. 3 words later, my mother's face went white. Before I take you back to how it started, if you're still listening and this story hits close to home, you can drop a comment with where you're watching from and what time it is there. Now, let me take you back 10 years, to the moment I became the family secret. 10 years ago, I was 22, fresh out of college with an accounting degree and an entry-level job that barely covered rent. I thought my life was finally beginning. From the outside, my family looked perfect. My dad, Richard Sterling, had been a sales director for 2 decades. My mum, Diane, stayed home and treated our reputation like it was her career. And then there was Chloe, my younger sister, 18, pretty in the effortless way some people are, charming without trying, and constantly protected like she was made of glass. The favoritism wasn't new. It had always been there, stitched into the fabric of our home like an ugly thread nobody admitted existed. When I graduated college, my parents took me to dinner. 5 people. Nothing fancy. Mum told me, "You don't even like crowds, Mira." I didn't argue. I never did. 2 months later, Chloe got her acceptance letter to a prestigious university on the East Coast. And suddenly, they rented out a restaurant. 50 guests. A 3-tier cake. Dad gave a speech about his little star. I sat in the corner and clapped along with everyone else, smiling so no one would ask questions. When I finally asked Mum why it was so different, she said, "Chloe needs encouragement. She's young. She needs support. You've always been able to take care of yourself." I told myself she was right. Chloe was the baby. I was the older sister. Steady, reliable, quiet, invisible. That was my role. A week before everything changed, I visited home for Sunday dinner and overheard my parents in the kitchen talking about buying Chloe a car. Not a used car. A brand new Honda Civic for her to drive at college. "She can't be taking buses," Mum said. "What would people think?" And I remember standing there thinking about my own commute to ours each way on public transit. Crowded buses, late-night walks from the station to my apartment. No one had ever cared what people thought about me. I swallowed it like I always did. Keep the peace, Myra. That Thursday, my phone rang at 11 p.m. It was Dad. His voice sounded unfamiliar, smaller, almost shaky. "Mira, I need to talk to you," he said. "But you can't tell anyone, especially not Chloe." My father was a proud man. In my entire life, I had never heard fear in his voice. "Dad, what's wrong?" There was a long pause, like he was trying to find a way to say it without losing his dignity. Then he said it. "I lost my job 3 weeks ago. And the retirement fund, it's almost gone." His voice cracked on the last part. This was the same man who lectured us about responsibility, who judged people who couldn't manage their affairs. And now he was calling his invisible daughter in the middle of the night, asking for help. I didn't hesitate. "What do you need?" I asked. "Just..." "Don't tell your mother," I called, he said quickly. She's already stressed, and Chloe has school to focus on. Even then, even in crisis, I was the one they could burden without guilt. Over the next hour, Dad laid everything out. Corporate restructuring, he said. He'd been let go without warning. At 55, no one wanted to hire him. He'd applied everywhere. Nothing. The retirement fund was worse. Years earlier, he'd moved most of it into what a friend promised was a sure thing. The sure thing collapsed. What was supposed to protect them had shrunk to almost nothing. Then he admitted the part that truly terrified him. We're 3 months behind on the mortgage, he said. If we miss another payment, we could lose the house. The next day, Mum called me. Her voice was thick with tears, soft in that way that always meant she wanted something. Mira, your father told me he spoke to you. I know we shouldn't ask, but you're the only one who can help. Chloe is still in school. She can't work, and we can't tell anyone about this. You understand, don't you? I did understand. I always understood. What do you need me to do? I asked. Just a little help each month, she said, until your father finds something. We'll pay you back, of course. Then her voice dropped lower, sharper. But Myra, no one can know. Not Chloe, not your aunts, not anyone. We can't have people thinking this family is struggling. At the time, I was making $52,000 a year. After rent, utilities, and student loans, I had maybe $800 left each month if I was careful. They were asking for $2,500. I should have said no. I should have asked how that made sense. I should have protected myself. Instead, I said yes. Mum whispered, "You're such a good daughter, the best. We'll never forget this, Mira, never." I set up the automatic transfer that same week. Every month, $2,500 left my account and went into their retirement fund. I took overtime. I cancelled my gym membership. I stopped eating out. I told myself it was temporary. It wasn't. Here's what 10 years of temporary looks like. I worked 60-hour weeks. I climbed from junior accountant to senior accountant to accounting manager, and eventually to CFO at a mid-sized pharmaceutical company. Every promotion came with a bigger paycheck, a bigger transfer. $2,500 became $3,000 after my first real raise. Then $3,500, like clockwork, like breathing, like it was simply part of my identity. And my parents never missed a beat. Chloe got a new car after graduation, then a down payment on her first apartment, then a designer wardrobe for her marketing job in Manhattan. Her birthday parties were huge catered dinners, champagne, live music. My birthdays were a card, sometimes a phone call if Mum remembered. I wasn't invited to most family gatherings. "You're always so busy with work," Mum would say, like my absence was my choice and not the consequence of being used quietly in the background. The math is simple. 10 years, 120 months, an average of around $2,800 per transfer. Over $336,000 I funded my parents. Security while they told everyone they had built it themselves. I sacrificed my 20s while they celebrated my sister. I kept their secret while they slowly erased me from the picture. And not once, not one time in 10 years did they thank me in a way that mattered. Not openly, not honestly, not in front of anyone. I told myself it didn't matter, because actions speak louder than words, right? They knew what I'd done. I was wrong. I was 32 when I finally looked in the mirror and saw what I'd become. Daniel and I had been dating for 2 years. He was kind, steady, the kind of man who listens without trying to fix you like you're a problem. One night he asked the question I'd been avoiding. "Mira, have you ever thought about us buying a place? Something that's ours?" I pulled up my bank account and felt my stomach twist. After 10 years of making 6 figures, I had less than $15,000 in savings. No house, no investments, no retirement fund of my own. Everything had gone to them. I'm not sure I can, I admitted. Daniel didn't get angry. He looked worried. "Mira, I love you," he said carefully, "but sometimes I don't know who you're living for. It's not yourself." He was right, and I hated that he was right. 2 weeks later, Mum called in a frenzy of excitement. "Chloe's engaged to Brad," she said, breathless. "You remember him, the lawyer? We're going to give her the most beautiful wedding. Your father and I will pay for everything. Pay for everything." My stomach dropped. "What's the budget?" I asked, forcing my voice to stay calm. "Oh, around $80,000, she said lightly. "Maybe more. She deserves a fairy tale, don't you think? $80,000. 3 years of my transfers. My sacrifices turned into flowers and chandeliers and an orchestra, while everyone clapped for my parents' generosity. I didn't sleep that night, or the next. Something had to change. I just didn't know yet how much. Chloe's engagement was everything my parents had dreamed of. Brad Harrison came from old money, the kind that doesn't need to announce itself because everyone already knows. His family owned a huge portion of commercial real estate in Hartford. He was polished, confident, and looked at Chloe like she was priceless. I tried to be happy for her. Part of me was, but mostly I felt empty. Mum called daily with wedding updates. Riverside Country Club, the most exclusive venue around, 300 guests, a designer dress, imported flowers, a 12-piece orchestra. "We're not cutting corners," she kept saying. "Chloe deserves perfection." Finally, I asked the question that had been burning for weeks. "Mum, where is the money coming from?" Silence on the line. Then she said, "That's not really your concern." "I think it is," I replied. "Don't be difficult," she snapped. "This is your sister's special day." "I'm asking a simple question," I said, voice steady. "Where is the money coming from?" "Your savings." "Our savings," she repeated sharply. "We've worked hard our whole lives. We're allowed to celebrate our daughter." "Which daughter?" I asked quietly. She hung up.